I've worked across my knitting till I've gotten to this point. This is where the blue cable has turned to a gray cable, and I want to change these last few stitches back to blue. I'm just going to slip these first 2 stitches over to my right needle because it's a part of the cable cross that's going to happen next. And I'm going to take these 2 stitches off of the needle, and I'm going to drop them down until they become blue stitches again. I'm just going to put these blue stitches onto the stitch holder so we can take a look at what's happening in the work behind it. So you can see there's these very large loops, and that's because those formed the stitches just a minute ago. But when we were knitting, we're always carrying a blue yarn and a gray yarn. So when we were working across these previous rows, we just didn't use the blue yarn, we only used the gray yarn. So what we need to do is we need to look for that blue yarn that was just carried across. And we can see that it was carried across right here for this stitch. I'm just going to give it a good tug so we have some extra yarn. And here, the blue yarn is just sitting below that gray yarn. So what we're going to do is we're going to work those 2 stitches back up using these blue loops. You'll see that because I had to give those a good yank, these stitches are going to be very tight on the needles. And then we're going to have this gray yarn that is extra. And so we're going to have to work that into the stitches around it. For this reason, I'm much more likely to rip back my work and fix the color of this yarn because I find it hard to hide these colors. But you can try this and see if you're happy with the results. You can also duplicate stitch over this. So I'm going to put these 2 stitches on my cable needle. And then I'm just going to knit back up through the back loop with this new blue yarn. I've done 1 row. I have to keep that gray yarn to the side, and then I'll work up this row. Now this stitch is very, very tight. I am using a smaller needle than I was knitting with just to make this a little easier. I don't find this easy, but it can be done. You just need to make sure you keep that gray yarn to the back, and I'll just slip these onto that stitch, and you can see they're quite tight, and then I can just work this cable. Now I have this gray yarn that I'm going to need to shift around to hide it. You just do your best with this. And I'll probably just spread that across these stitches.